Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. To Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Bloodlines 2. The game in the mind, on the lips, anticipated in the hearts of every Vampire the Masquerade fan out there, I'm sure. Well, some of you, anyway. And me, as well. I've not spoken much about Bloodlines 2 on this channel. Most of the time I focus on games I'm working on or have worked on. Sometimes I'll review games that I haven't. And for example, as some of you will already be aware, I'm currently crowdfunding one of those games. Monster Kingdoms is the fantasy game where evil won and you play the monsters. It's the game where you play the Sabbat in a fantasy setting. And it is doing very well. It's over 200% of its funding target, and I would love it if you checked that out. It is linked in the video description below. It's the first line right there. Click that link. Give me your support. I would love for more people to pick up this RPG. So I've been working on lots of games, and I haven't really given much thought to Bloodlines 2. It's not my project. I was very loosely involved in Bloodlines 2 when I was working on V5. I got to see how the game looked, what the plot was, way back in its previous iteration, which is not at all reflected in the game is now. I really enjoyed what that game looked like back then, and that kind of, I wouldn't say it put me off what the game has become, but it made me think, this isn't anything to do with me at this point, so let's just see what happens. But then my eyes were attracted to something. The Clan Ventrue trailer. Now I know Outstar, the, I believe, creative director, I want to say, is their title now at White Wolf, which is fantastic, good stuff. Might be creative developer, apologies if I got it wrong. Put this trailer together, and it is excellent. It's a fantastic piece of work. This trailer really upsells the game. It has great fluidity of motion, decent graphics, good voice acting. I like the action, excellent atmosphere. Everyone is talking about the dominate powers and the ability to get people to themselves away. It makes the Ventrue seem lethal and scary, and it makes your character, Colostomy Bag Jones, Fire. I've never minded the name Fire, and I wouldn't have even minded if that was their name from the beginning. I've seen so many Vampire the Masquerade characters with utterly ridiculous names that Fire is far from the worst. And the fact that they now see it on a poster and decide to adopt that name just reminds me of Colostomy Bag Jones, which, if you know that reference, you've seen a good movie. Anyway, yeah, I think that it looks really stylish and a lot of fun. Now, I know there are a lot of people who are unhappy with the fact that it doesn't look like Bloodlines 1 or doesn't feel like Bloodlines 1, that it isn't as strictly a role-playing game as Bloodlines 1, though I would caution that there's an awful lot of hacking and slashing and unnecessary combat in the first Bloodlines game to that game's detriment, because it's a pretty janky game, which may go without saying, but rose-tinted glasses and all can make us think that it's a much better game than it was. What Bloodlines had in excess was atmosphere, and I think what I'm getting the impression of from Bloodlines 2 is it has a very strong atmosphere. That's what I like. That's what I want to see. I want to see a strong Vampire the Masquerade aesthetic from Bloodlines to Bloodlines 2. If it can feel like Vampire, I don't care if I've got telekinesis for some inexplicable reason. It might be mechanical. It might be the result of some bonkers discipline. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, honestly, because I never anticipate a video game being a perfect translation of a TTRPG to a CRPG. It doesn't have to be. media is interpretive, art is interpretive. Video games do not have to perfectly emulate the tabletop experience, and I would argue shouldn't. If they do, you might as well be playing on the tabletop. But I am seeing a lot of criticism that it feels more like an action RPG than, let's say, a straight RPG. And I get that. I understand that. I understand that hesitation because, again, I'm not a big fan of all the combat and Bloodlines. I'm not a massive fan in the constant combat in all the Elder Scrolls games. It's more, that's a combat RPG more than it is an actual cerebral RPG. And that's going to be the big question, really. It's how much of Bloodlines 2 for me, and this is, again, purely a taste thing, how much of it does come down to fight scenes and how much of it is talky character growth. I know there's no tree system or anything like that for how you expand your character, well, at least at the beginning is my understanding. So yeah, how much of this is actually going to be an engaging, in-depth story? I like a lot of the material, a lot of the games the Chinese Room have made before, so I'm not too worried. In fact, I'm not worried at all. I think there's no point. What I am is hopeful. I'm hopeful that this video game will do incredibly well, because if it does incredibly well, it means the TTRPG will do even better. It should, in theory, attract more players from the CRPG space to the TTRPG space, which means we get more World of Darkness players. More World of Darkness players means more people sign up to my Patreon to playing games of Vampire the Masquerade, Wraith the Oblivion, Werewolf the Apocalypse that I'm running. By the way, I have just started running Vampire the Masquerade again, starting with Dark Ages over on my Patreon. So if you want to play games of Vampire run by me, or indeed other World of Darkness games, do click on the Patreon link in the video description below and get in touch with me, and let's see what we can work out in terms of timings. I've got some very happy gamers right now playing Vampire the Dark Ages, some of them for the first time. So yes, I'm very hopeful that it does well. There's been a lot of controversies surrounding Bloodlines 2 to its detriment. There's no way of getting around the fact that these controversies have hurt the game, along with anticipation. The controversy surrounding the downloadable content releasable on day one. It isn't something that bothers me particularly, but I can see that it bothers a lot of other people. And so they're changing that. It sounds like that they will be incorporating those two clans, the Torridor and the La Sombra, in the base game free of charge. That's what it sounds like. I can't confirm it, but that's what it sounds like they're going to do, because there was a backlash that was heard around the world. The changing of development teams. That isn't unusual in the video game space, but I think the fact that there was so much nostalgia for the original development team, the original people who were putting their minds to Bloodlines 2, that when they left and we got the Chinese Room instead, some people were very apprehensive about that, even resentful about that, and I don't enjoy tribalism. I don't enjoy, I'm with this person till they die kind of thing. I want to give the Chinese Room a chance to tell a good story and make a good game. There are people who want it to be closer to Bloodlines. They want it to feel like a natural sequel to Bloodlines rather than just another Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines game, as in another Vampire the Masquerade game that's got some of the same traits as Bloodlines 1. For me, again, I wouldn't want a direct sequel. I think it's been far too long since the first game for a direct sequel to really work. And again, rose-tinted glasses are a good way of fooling yourself into thinking Bloodlines was a very good game when it wasn't. Again, let's go back to that operative word, atmosphere. Bloodlines 1 had it in spades. Bloodlines 1's atmosphere was sublime. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best games of the era. Deus Ex-like, in the sense that it really sold a specific world to you. And Bloodlines 2 seems to have that. So, what are my thoughts? I can't review the game because it isn't out yet. And I don't think I'm going to be gifted a free copy. Though, if you're watching this, Paradox, you know where I am. more than happy to do a review for a free game. I'm pretty cheap like that, all told. But I'm not a downer on it. Lots of people have problems with Paradox. Lots of people have problems with Bloodlines 2 and the way that it's been developed. And I think that their criticisms are completely fair when they are being reasonable with them. I feel like people should have open minds, should review the latest footage of the game, such as in this Ventrue trailer, and see that and realize, oh, okay, so this is what the game can be like. All right, so some of our fears have been put to rest. And all in all, I think you should, if you're a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, either give the game a go or watch some actual plays on Let's Plays on YouTube once the game comes out. See whether there's something in there you'll like, see whether there's something you don't. Don't spoil the game for yourself. Just watch the some videos of the first couple of levels, see whether it's what you'd enjoy, and then hop on board if you think that it is. But wishing for its failure, I can see there's lots of people online who basically make a living in griefing this kind of thing. They, go on Reddit or wherever just to say, this game is going to fail and here's why, and they get their upvotes and that's what gives them their endorphin rush. I would love for them to shut up, because they're contributing nothing of value. Whether this game is of value is going to be entirely subjective. It depends on the kind of game you like. But it's looking like it will be a game I like. I'm going to wait for the patches, though, if I don't get it for free. Because if Bloodlines 1 taught me anything, it's that you don't go straight in on day one on a video game. I did on Silksong, but that's a special kind of exception to the rule, I think. Everyone went in on day one on Silksong, and it's fantastic. Buy Hollow Knight Silksong. It's brilliant. Team Cherry aren't paying me. They don't need to pay me. Everyone's buying Hollow Knight Silksong. $19.99 as a day one purchase. What a brilliant strategy from Team Cherry. Anyway, this isn't a video about Hollow Knight Silksong. This is about Bloodlines 2. And don't just commit to reading all of the reviews in places like Game Radar and IGN. You can't spell ignorant without IGN, remember. Your best bet is to watch some footage of the game yourself, ideally without commentary if you're unsure, and see whether it looks like the kind of game you like. And pick it up then. But yeah, I am hopeful. I'm not optimistic, because I'm not going to put any eggs in this basket. I would like to see more trailers demonstrating different aspects of gameplay. I want to see the first couple of levels played out in perfect quality without jankiness, and then I will allow myself to be optimistic. But I am hopeful. I want it to do well. I want the game to do well. I want Paradox to do well. I want the Chinese room to do well. And I want Vampire the Masquerade to do well. So now that we're moving away from the controversies and moving up to the release date, let me know your thoughts on what you've heard about Bloodlines 2, what you're hoping is in Bloodlines 2, and let's not talk about fears and pessimism. Let's talk about what you really want out of this game. And who knows, maybe you will get what you want. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.